In this video, I will explain what the word statistic means and introduce the two main branches of statistics. The word statistics has two meanings. First, as a field of study, statistics is the study and the practice of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting sample data. Second, the term statistic can also refer to numerical quantities summarizing sample data. You might be wondering what sample data really means. This concept will be explained in the upcoming slides. There are generally two types of statistics: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics involves describing the features of the data, and it often involves graphing or visualizing the data set. As a demonstration of descriptive statistics, I drew these graphs. These graphs show the grade distribution for different classes. The x-axis represents the percentage scores on the midterm exam. The y-axis indicates the number of students within each score range. As you can see, each class has a distinct distribution. For example, in the sociology class, most student scores are clustered around 80%. In contrast, the psychology course shows a wider spread of scores. The computer science course displays two different clusters, one clustered around 85%, the other clustered around 60%. Describing and summarizing these patterns in the graphs are all aspects of descriptive statistics. On the other hand, the purpose of inferential statistics is to enable us to make inferences or draw conclusions about a larger population based on sample data. To better understand what it means to make inferences about population based on sample, let me explain the definitions of population versus sample. Population refers to all people whom we're interested in studying and making conclusions about. For example, in a neuroscience study about vision, we hope to apply the research findings to all human beings in the world. Then in this case, our target population is all human beings in the world. A related terminology is a parameter, which refers to numeric quantities characterizing the population data. One common parameter is the population mean, which is the average value of a variable if we could measure it for every individual in the population. It is important to understand that the population mean is typically a hypothetical value, since it is impossible to collect data from every individual in the population. On the other hand, sample refers to a subset of the population. The word sampling is the act of taking people from the population. For a typical psychology experiment, we usually recruit undergraduate students as our sample. For example, you can recruit 100 undergraduate students for the sample of your psychological study. A related term to sample data is statistics, which refers to the numerical quantities characterizing the sample data. Recall, this is the second meaning of the word statistics. An example of a statistic is the sample mean, which is the average value of a variable for all participants in the sample data. In essence, inferential statistics is about making inferences about the population data based on the sample data. Specifically, inferential statistics is about making inferences on population parameters based on sample statistics. In other words, inferential statistics allows us to find the true patterns in the population based on our sample data. Here is a graphic representation of inferential statistics. Population refers to all the people we're interested in studying and making conclusions about. Through sampling, we select a subset of the population to form our sample data. And the inferential statistic is about making inferences about the population based on the sample data.